This is on the caching of metadata. This is more like an architectural improvement that we have done. But on the UI side and on the changes that we have is like whenever you edit an automations, usually it takes longer time. That's always a complaint that we keep hearing it, like it takes long time, especially when we are trying to edit it. The reason is because it's always an API call that goes into the end system for us to fetch the values. So to improve our UI performance, or at least editing of the automations, we initially planned with caching all the metadatas that an automation is actually trying to pull. So in anything that we pull from the end system, we call it as metadata, basically on the entity mapping, the project, the workspaces, everything is basically a metadata, as well as a field. And the field mapping is also a metadata. So as part of this PI in 3.7, we have done the caching of fields. So any fields that is, that comes from the end system, when you create any fields that comes from the end system, we cache it. The mechanisms that we use is like we have a caching file that is being created, which actually caches, holds the data for like 30 minutes. And then this data flows into the database always. So there is a cache, and the cache value goes into the database. And anytime there is a change that happens on the end system, for example, if a field is deleted or a field is actually added on the end application, in that case, we will, it doesn't come from the cache. So in this case, it has to go into the end system. To retrieve the real-time data from the end system, we have actually modified the purpose of the reload fields that we have today in our field mapping. So I'll quickly show how that works. So as part of UI performance optimization, we have done the metadata caching, and it is caching of only the field values, and it is applied for all the adapters that ConnectALL works, all applications that ConnectALL supports. It actually works. I also have some data of how it looks before in 3.6 and how it looks in 3.7 after this was implemented. So as said, go ahead.
A quick question. You said it supports all adapters. I had heard internally that it was only supporting the next gen adapters. So will we see some performance specifically for Jira? That's the main one that I hear customers complaining about.
Chas, the field metadata is being done for all the adapters. Only on the entity side metadata, right? Like the project and workspace, that was only something that we could only do for the next gen adapters, but we can't do for the current gen adapters. So just for the entity type metadata, we have not done it. But for the field metadata, this is done for all adapters, irrespective of whether it is a next new framework or old framework, it will work for all the adapters.
Got it. So there should still be some performance improvement on Jira with this.
Yes.
Excellent. I'm very excited to hear that, and I know a couple of customers that I've been working with will be excited to hear that as well.
Right, right. Yeah, moving on, so when you create a new automation, basically what happens is it loads the fields from the end system for both the source and destination. Once you save those automations, these fields are actually stored in the cache. And from the cache, it actually also, every 5 minutes from the cache, it actually pushes to the database also, because cache, we cannot hold it for a longer time. So when you edit an automation within 30 minutes, it actually picks from the cache. When you edit it like post 30 minutes, right, it actually picks from the database. So anytime you create an automation, you immediately wanted to go and edit it, right? Usually it takes the same number of time, but now you can see a difference in the way it is performing. So it picks from the cache if it's edited within the 30 minutes. Post 30 minutes, it'll still fetch it faster. It is fetching from the database. But again, database also, we are holding it only for 90 days. Anything that is beyond this 90 days, we are actually fetching it from the end system, because there's all possibility that the data will grow larger on the database. For now, we have not kept this as configuration anywhere, these 30 minutes or 90 days. It's all happening in the code. we do have plans like whether we can keep it somewhere on the configuration so that if it's a small, if the number of automations is going to be smaller, right? Maybe I can hold it for like 120 days or 200 days. But we do have plans of, doing this metadata cache sometime in future, not in the upcoming PI. Maybe we'll optimize it better because since we are actually storing or holding the customer data, right? Probably we'll have to even have some consent that is needed because we always say that we don't store any data. We pick live data and we flow live data, right? That's what ConnectALL is all about. But in this case, since we are going to have cache, we are going to have storing, we'll also have to need that consent. So when we are building the metadata on the entity type, probably we'll do all that consents and stuff. So the difference that you will see, at least on our side, who is using automation in and out, is like the reload fields. So if you have seen the reload fields before, right, whatever was before this implementation, basically the reload field will remove the entire field mapping and it just fetches the value on the system. So as part of this implementation, we have ensured that the reload fields don't get removed. It will remain there. Whatever fields you have mapped will continue to remain there. The reload field, basically what it does is like the source field, the destination field, it pulls the real data from the end application. So for instance, in Jira, somebody has added, after you have, it's on the cache or it's on the database. After that, somebody has edited a field or they've added a new field and now you think that you need that new field into the field mapping, right? If we can go ahead and use a reload field, it's going to fetch the new field from there. If at all there is a case like you have added a field of the field mapping, but that field got removed on the end system, right? In that case, those fields which is in field mapping now, which is no more valid field, will go into the missing field section. The missing field section we have, users can take action on the missing field section, save the automation and continue to go. So that's what we have done as part of the caching metadata. This is all our caching field, the name. This can be seen on the Hazelcast. Unfortunately, I'm on EAP. EAP being containerized, I couldn't get the Hazelcast setup to be done. Though we were working with the DevOps, if and they can give me this Hazelcast setup, but I don't have it as of now. But if you want to go and see on the Hazelcast, you will find a cache store in there and you can see the values are getting cached. I've also given the database, table and the sample data, how it looks like. If there is a need, we can actually use this for information. I've given it. This is all about the reload field that I just spoke about. Like, we have given the instruction message also here says that this reload field will actually retrieve the latest value from your end applications. And yeah, the only difference is basically on the UI. On the UI, it's the reload field. And this is the difference, sorry. This is the difference that we have seen with the same automations. In 3.6, it used to take like 55 to 60 seconds to load. The same automation after we implemented 3.7, fetching from the cache, it took me like 10 to 11 seconds. So this is the data that we have from our performance tests that we did. So these are all the, how long it holds the data, whatever I just told now. I can quickly show how it looks like on the automation. I said there's no change to the automation, but only difference is the reload page. Let me open up an automation. Let me see if one is opened. Yeah. So it's this reload fields. So the reload fields, you will see that it doesn't clean up any of the field mapping here, but it will, if at all there was a new field that was being added on Rally or on the service now, those fields will actually be fetched from the end application. And once you save it, it will be pushed into the cache.
Hey, Vinny, it's Heather. I have a quick question, and I'm sorry if you already covered this. Let's say I've just modified my automation, so it's modified within the last 30 minutes. And now in either the source or destination, I add a new team, a new project. So it's not a new field, it's just a new value for that field. If I come in and edit the automation, I assume I'll have to hit reload fields. Will that allow me to see that new project or that new value in the dropdown, or do I have to wait 30 minutes?
No, no, you will be able to. So along with the fields, all the value mappings that you can do for the fields will get reloaded by itself when you click on the reload.
Okay, thank you.